Open your eyes. Can you see me? Now just focus on the ceiling. I watch you.
If you look at every technology, we start by taking what we know and trying to change it only a small amount. We go from the horse and wagon to the horseless carriage. You do not drive in the Indianapolis 500 in a horseless carriage. At some point, you need to re-engineer how a car works. You do not achieve the same result by taking a film camera and putting a digital sensor on the back that you get by rethinking how a camera works now that you don't need to put film in it anymore. You re-engineer. And at some point, that's what you need to be prepared to do with your approach to software development. You also should understand that maybe the hard part is not learning to do the new things, but learning not to do the old things anymore. There are tasks that you do today by writing code. Maybe you should not. Maybe you should instead go shopping in the supermarket of the cloud and say, I don't need to write code for this anymore. I can get this as a cloud service. I can get this from here. I can get this from here. I can put these things together. I do not need to write a text editing tool to be part of my application anymore. I can get that capability directly from Google and have a multi-person concurrent editing tool with automatic version management that I just plug into my application. Why would you ever write a line of code to provide text editing capability ever again? Now here is perhaps the most exciting change in application development. I do not know how many of you are old enough that you ever wrote a command line application or a green screen 80 by 25 terminal application, or had to move from a green screen application to a Windows application, but now we have the next generation. We have social media and what we call Cloud 2 devices like the iPhone, the iPad, where there isn't a mouse that you can hover over something anymore. You're using gestures, you're using touch interaction. It's a different interactive model. And if you take an old mouse window menu application and put it on an iPad, you don't get an iPad experience. It is now time for us all to recognize the next generation of application development is here now. And we need to move aggressively to be leaders with that generation. Because here is something that happened about 1 year ago. More people use social networks like Facebook and Twitter than use email. I have 3 sons. My 25-year-old still uses email. He posts to Facebook maybe once every week. My 18-year-old uses email sometimes. He posts to Facebook once or twice a day. My 17-year-old almost never uses email unless I ask him to, and is on Facebook almost all day. He uses Facebook chat to do collaboration with his classmates. He uses it to keep in touch with friends all over the country, in fact, all over the world. It is a generational change. Social networking has passed email and is overtaking it more rapidly. So your applications must now be social. That's a big job. And so this is a new opportunity for developers to create a whole new category of business application, social process monitoring. What would this be? A customer is unhappy with your product and tweets all of his friends on what a terrible product you have built. And in the old world, that would just sit there until some market research firm tells you 3 months from now that your reputation is in trouble because thousands of people are now tweeting how poorly you do your job. What if your company name in a tweet automatically was detected, a case was automatically created around this issue, people with expertise in the question were automatically assembled into a group whose task was to resolve this problem, and when they resolved the problem, their recommendation was automatically tweeted back to the person who initially complained. And all of the people who follow this person see that you responded. How valuable is that when now the social tools become part of your space to promote your brand instead of a conversation that happens when you're not even in the room? Social process monitoring, a tremendous new category of business application, which we hope the developer community will embrace. Not merely people talking to people, but devices talking to people. What if your car could tweet the need for an oil change, and your garage could be the first person to email a customer and say, by the way, your car tells us it's in need of service. There is nothing to stop any business from embracing an Internet of Things, because all the structures are there. And so hardware speed can combine with human judgment to create another major new application opportunity. And you don't need to write code to do anything except the parts of this that create business value. Everything else is out there waiting for you to use it. Now, I mentioned Java. There are 6 million enterprise developers today writing applications mainly in Java. And no matter what I say about how good our Force.com language is, they still look at that and say, yes, it is very much like Java, but it is not identical to Java, and there is code that I would need to rewrite. Not a huge rewrite, but a rewrite. And this is a problem, because once they have done that rewrite, it only runs in our environment. We realize this is a fundamental problem. We have partnered with VMware to create an offering called VMforce that will be in developer preview. You will be able to start experimenting with this later this year, where if you are today a Java developer using the Spring application framework, you will be able to drag the icon of your application to a cloud icon instead of a server icon. And your application will be immediately deployed into the multi-tenant cloud. No rewriting at all. And so provisioning, configuration management, all of these things will now become built in for you. You will take the things you already know, Spring Framework, Tomcat Server, and they will automatically plug into the Force.com database and automatically be able to use all of the Force.com platform services that I have just described. Content management, analytics, data quality management. All of these things will simply become new things available directly to you. And you will not be doing anything different. You will be writing your application in the same Spring development environment that you use today, based on Eclipse, and you will simply drag the app to the cloud, and that will be it. It will be running. This will be in preview later this year. Normally, I'm very careful not to talk about things that are not available, but this is important, so I'm making this very clear, I hope. It will be in preview this year, and at some future time, we will discuss the full availability date. You will be using the language you know, the application framework you know, the tools you know, the Tomcat Java runtime that you know. Your CIO will be happy to find out that they do not need to buy more servers to do it, that they do not need to license more databases to do it, that the disaster continuity is already taken care of, that the staff to handle any security issues is already in place, and that it's an open standard. If you're ever not happy, just drag it back to your server instead of up to the cloud, and you've redeployed it back into your own data center. We think this is a very important piece of credibility for the cloud, that it's completely your choice where the application goes. And so, what I want to leave you with is a chance to find your future, to build applications that work the way people want to work, in social environments that allow them to collaborate with each other, to discover each other's talent and expertise, to respond in real time to new events. I want you to find service providers that you already know and can trust, people like Amazon, Google, ourselves, who are already running every day hundreds of thousands, or in some cases millions of people running on the service every day, so that the customer for your application, when they are seeing that it runs on Amazon or runs on Force.com will say, oh, okay, I know what that means. That means it's going to be high availability, high security, high uptime, high reliability. These things now become your assets as well as ours. You wrap yourself in the brand of the enterprise cloud. You will build your application in weeks instead of months. You will get to market with first mover advantage. You will be able to interoperate with legacy systems, with new devices like the iPhone and the iPad. I see nothing but opportunity for developers here, and people ask me all the time, when you make these productivity gains, doesn't this put developers out of work? And I say, I want you to go back and read the first chapter of your economics book. We are going to take the cost of a custom application and cut it by 80%. And it will be cheaper, and it will be available sooner, and it will do more. Whenever something becomes cheaper and more valuable and easier to get all at the same time, does not the demand explode? And in our customers' organizations, what happens? Do they fire 80% of their IT staff because they're 5 times as productive? No, they do not. They start working on their application backlog. They start doing projects that have been on a list of things that would be nice to do, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, and they start attacking that list and solving the problems. And suddenly, the developer team are heroes, because they are no longer the department of excuses and delays. Now they are the department of innovation, value, and agility. And this is a future that I would be happy to see all of you participate in. I actually don't care where you do your first cloud project. If your first cloud project is a high-performance scientific computing project, you probably will not do it with us. You will do it in another environment where you can buy bulk power at a better price. But if your first application is putting something on an iPhone or an iPad, you probably should be doing it with us. This is my desire. I want your first cloud project to be such an enormous success that whoever gives you your budget wants to give you more because they want more of that success. And then we can talk. So, good luck.